Hi, welcome to the Ralphthemoviemaker podcast. I'm here with my co-host or whatever, Cam. Hi, Cam.
Whatever I
I
am.
don't know what you are. he's here, and we have a very special guest today. If you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Sandra, and this is my first ever podcast.
Wow, welcome, Sandra, and congrats on your first ever podcast.
I've been acting for months, so I'm glad I'm finally here.
Yeah. So, what do you know about film, or what do you do in film?
So I've always been into film. I've always been into film, like watching movies, and recently, well, couple years now, I'm trying to get into the film industry.
Yeah.
I made my first short back in the spring of last year. So yeah, just getting started.
Nice. Yeah,
Right.
you've made some shorts, you wrote some scripts and stuff like that. Yeah, I know. I've read some. They're good.
Thank you.
Sadie, one of your scripts is actually titled Ghosted, right? It predates the Apple movie.
It does.
Yeah.
I'm
And
sure
I
it's
like
much better,
Sandra's
too.
scripted or Sandra's ghosted script just so much better than the actual ghosted.
I believe it.
Yeah.
Like
and
to
yeah,
read
cool.
it.
Sure. We've been dating for almost 2 years.
Yeah, about 2 years now. Closer to 2 years than a year. I mean, it'll be 2 years in
Yeah,
April.
like in
right?
3 months, probably.
Yeah.
And then I met Cam through you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I was inside, like the layers of Inyon, like right.
We
have
have
Yeah,
We'll
yeah,
talk
yeah,
about it
yeah.
then.
That's so true, yeah.
Yeah, well, once I realized it was like a serious relationship, I started introducing Sandy to like everybody, like my parents and Cam. I'm like, oh, Cam, we gotta come meet Sandy. And
You guys have fun though. It's not all serious. It's like you can't smile at all. It's
no,
completely
it's
serious.
great. No. I'm just yeah.
Yeah, I know.
So yeah, we all rewatched the movie recently, Past Lives. I'm talking about, just to say what it's about. It's this movie about like this woman who, or I guess it starts with her when she's a child and she leaves Korea, right, South Korea, and she moves to America and she like has this reuniting with this guy she knew from when she was a kid. They were like best friends as kids, but then they kind of drift apart again, and then she gets married, and then they reunite again, and that's like it. It's kind of about like this life she could have had with this other person, but ultimately her life just went a different way, moving away from Korea and just starting a new life in New York, and it's just about that, like reconciling that and like, were you the person you were 30 years ago? Are you different? Are you still in love with that person? It's paced really well. It's got like a really good structure to it where, it just never gets like kind of monotonous or whatever. It's like a very interesting hook at the beginning with like, you see this other couple like and they're watching like this from the outside, like what exactly is going on here. They just see like this Korean woman, a Korean guy, and a white guy and they're like, what's going on? And it's like they're trying to piece it together, and then the film like flashes back. The jump forward in time is great too once they once they become adults. It's just like a great transition. And even the transition later on when it's like after she meets Arthur there, and there's like that other time jump.
Yeah, like 10
But
years.
it's like so functional, like the dialogue's so great when they like get to the customs officer there, and it's just like, what are you guys here for? Are you related? And it's like, no, we're married. And it's like all that, like in like 30 seconds of dialogue, you like understand like everything that's happened in that jump forward in time, and it's completely organic to the story. Like that's good dialogue to me. That's like how you write like good script ultimately.
I don't what a professor we had. I don't know if Ralph. He may have had him too. Waco Lynn, professor I had. He actually wrote like a book on screenwriting, and like it talks about like story wise, like certain things come at like different like it kind of matches up with that because like around the 33-minute mark in the movie is when they stop talking because they reconnect over like FaceTime and I think like later at the end when like the three of them go out to dinner, it's like the 80-minute mark. So yeah, it's all like it moves along very nicely. And like you said, Sandy, like it doesn't get like too overcomplicated, but it's still like very fascinating, because on paper it's not like the most exciting like series of events. You're watching like calls and them hanging out, it's not like an action movie, but it is really fascinating how they discuss the concept of Inyon, just like what could have been, like what ifs, like what if they the woman never Nora never moved. And yeah,
that was a big part of the movie that was interesting. I'm glad you mentioned that the Inyon, right? Right. Like this idea of like what could have been. Something Sandra said when we first saw it is I feel like the movie could have very easily, I agree with her, but it could have easily gone to like a melodramatic kind of route with like the other, like the Korean guy coming back into her life and like, oh, are they gonna reignite their love or whatever from when they were children? And the movie doesn't really ultimately go that way because that's kind of too corny. And she even admits, like, I'm not going to throw my life away for like some guy that I knew, because it's unrealistic. But at the same time, it is a very like emotional experience for her. And seeing like the whole story play out at the end there, you like understand her emotion and why she's so like it's very moving. I thought like I was Sandra, I saw you. I was pretty like upset. I was a little teary eyed. Yeah,
big baby.
And like it could have easily gone the route of making the white American husband be a bad guy and the guy who's standing in the way between her and like her childhood lover, but just like how like they really humanized him and gave him understanding of what was going on, and like he gave her space to kind of figure out her emotions. And honestly, as a watcher, I wasn't even rooting for her to go back with her childhood best friend. To me, it made sense that she was where she was with the guy she was. So I love that it didn't push for us to like choose what side or like which guy she should end up with.
Yeah, the Arthur character is great because there's also a lot of great comedic moments that come from the awkwardness of that situation, them trying to reconcile it.
Very awkward. Yeah,
and it's funny. But then there's times where his character is very like believable because he could go this route where he's very jealous, and maybe there's a hint of jealousy there, but he is also very understanding of what she's going through, and right, that makes him very likable ultimately. And at the end, they do stay together. I didn't think it would go that way, but it's just the story just worked really well. And I think the trailer made it seem like it was going to be a little more like a like a melodramatic. Wasn't there a shot that wasn't even in the movie where their hands like touch slightly?
Well, sometimes with movies like this, like sometimes previews, like they have to make it seem more like there's more conflict than there actually is, because otherwise, like, why am I going to see it? Like, I want arguments.
Yeah, when you're trying to appeal to like the mainstream market, you're just like, yeah, we gotta make it seem like it's this movie about like they fall in love again or whatever to get people's butts in the seats. But really, it's much more thoughtful than that, and it's much more about like that Inyon concept, which I assume is like huge in like Korean culture, and
Yeah, I think that he represented I forgot his name.
Hey son, I think.
His son, yeah. I think he represented more of like her past country, past culture, the way she used to be. Like she used to be a crier as a child, but then as she grew up and became more Americanized, she like kind of like repressed her emotion. So I think it was more of like she missed more of those things from her past versus like seeing him as a lover that she could have had. I think it was beyond that romantic sense. I think it was just like a loss of like everything she had to give up to be where she was in this present moment.
Right. She says like, I miss Seoul, I miss my life there and whatever. So it's part of that too. Like he is a part of that life that she lost, or not long.
And then
you
she
know,
cries at the end.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
Again,
You know,
finally.
and it is sad, but you know that's kind of
Yeah,
how life
heavy.
is. Yeah,
Yeah.
and you know everyone has like a life in the you know that you eventually just kind of move on to like other
Yeah,
things.
exactly. Yeah.
And it makes you think about that, and that's why it is a very like emotional movie and very relatable. Like, you know, even though she's a Korean woman, I still relate to her arc over the course of the film. And yeah, it's very interesting. And yeah, back to like the structure and whatever. There's toward the end, there's like this whole segment in a bar, which is like how the movie starts. But like that little segment in the bar there is great. It actually reminded me of a place Sandra and I went to before the movie. It was like this little bar, like underground somewhere. um, but yeah, it was like I loved like the look of that, just like that scene, like the lighting and all that, which is like you know it's very important for a movie like this. That has like some visual flair to it because you know it's just people talking ultimately, but the movie looks really nice and you know them just walking around New York City. You see like the cityscapes. And you're like, oh, beautiful, or whatever. You see like the Brooklyn Bridge Park, right? Is that like that's
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, I do love that opening too. You know, because that is like a common device, like in medias res. I think that's how you say it. You know, like you cut to the end and then, or like you know towards the end, but like yeah, it's done in an effective way. Like you guys said, like yeah, you're kind of wondering like what the story is, but you know the story ends up being more complicated than the couple might assume.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Exactly.
And I love like how at the end, like you can see the couple in the shot
Yeah. I
in
love
like
that.
a very subtle way. And you're like, oh, like those were the two people talking about them.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great little touch that they put in there.
And the director Celine Song. I don't know much of her. Does she have many other movies?
I think that was her first feature.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I think she has a background in like theater and like the stage and
Yeah.
like
She's playwright.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but this was her first feature.
Very impressive, and yeah, it's A24. They had another pretty strong year between this and Zone of Interest and Priscilla. Yeah, a lot of like great like dramas. Iron Claw.
This is one of my favorites of the year, honestly.
Yeah, mine too.
Mm-hmm. It's in my top 10.
My only issue, and it's like it probably only bothers me, is in the subtitles they misspell the word "whoa." I'm always big. That's a common mistake I notice. Because they spell it WOAH, which a lot of people do, but it's actually WHOA. It's very pedantic of me to put. It's funny, they actually spell it correctly once, but then like the other like 5 times they spell it the other way. I just thought that was funny.
It's odd that they spell it differently one time in the movie.
Yeah, it's just yeah.
At least if it was consistent, you know.
And also, Setting Song's husband is the screenwriter for Challengers, the movie with Zendaya that's coming out in April.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah, that's fun fact.
Yeah, and Greta Lee
That's pretty cool.
I don't know anything about Greta Lee.
Well, I saw a little bit of that Russian doll show. She's on that. I know her from that.
Okay.
But yeah, she's great in the movie, and I think she's also in the new Spider-Verse.
Yeah,
I think she played one of like the little, like the whatchamacallit, the Oscar Isaac character, like the
like thing little, on the screen,
computer woman, robot wife, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
And she's on the morning show too.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
I think Past Lives was like her first like lead role.
Yeah, it's the first time I've seen her probably.
As a lead, yeah.
Yeah. I think in anything, unless I'm forgetting.
Ever.
Because Spider-Verse was after. Yeah, so.
Was it? I guess around the same time.
Yeah, but I saw it after.
Like in June. Oh, sure.
I saw it after. Well, yeah, Sandy and I saw it Past Lives.
I saw it in June.
Yeah. 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 I just remember being okay.
Yeah.
So
the 3 leads are great. Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone was great. John.
Magaro. Yeah, he's been in several.
John Magaro was great. Yeah.
Better movie for him than Many Saints of Newark. That was a little more
and T.O.U. Right? Is that how you say? Is he? Like,
I think so.
It's the boy. Yeah, I thought he was great. And I loved like whenever they cut to him and his friends there in Korea. I love like Because
Yeah.
there's the two time jumps there when they're adults, and both times he's just hanging out with his friends at the bar. Like nothing has changed. I love that.
Yeah. It's
He's
a
just
nice
doing the
detail.
same shit for like however many years, 10 years or whatever. He's just like hanging out with his friends. I love that. That's just so like.
But also I feel like that's also a device to show that him and Girlie's character were not really going to last for a very long time, even if they got together, because like she's moving forward with her life.
She's very like
Right.
active and like,
Yeah, and
but
he's
he's like her life has changed significantly over
exactly, and he's still stuck in the same
Mhm.
place. So
Mhm.
sure, they might have like great memories as a kid, but as adults, they wouldn't have worked.
Yeah, I think he just wants like different things in his life, maybe like kind of just like to hang out with his friend, like like what a lot of guys want.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is a good. Yeah, they don't like Yeah. It's not like that. That's something that even I like those scenes too, but it's not like an obvious thing. Yeah, it's kind of like a subtle like detail. Yeah, like that you guys pointed out, and yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I think we're good. So
Mhm.
to get into ratings, I think I'm going to give this one a 8 out of 10 or a 4 star out of 5 star. I think it's really solid and good stuff. It's a great debut feature for sure. And yeah, great performances, very very emotional, very powerful, very moving stuff. Yeah, it's a great movie. And I like the subtlety of it too. It's not something you think is going to be as, poignant as it ends up being. It's kind of like it like sneaks up on you kind of. Like I didn't expect this movie to have the punch it did at the end, but it did. It left an impact on me. And yeah, I love this movie. That was great. So yeah, what would you guys give it if you were going to give it a rating? Cam,
What do you think, Sandy?
or
You can go
Sandra.
first.
I would give it 4.5. I really liked it. And same, I didn't really know what to expect or what the story was about, but I think the more I watch it, like this is like my third watch, and it just gets better. So yeah, 4.5.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 10. It's a little. Yeah, I'm right there with you guys. Maybe either an 8 or a 9 out of 10. Maybe a 9. Yeah, I really like. Yeah, it's one of my favorites of the year too. And yeah, I like. Yeah, it's a lot of unpacking movies like this is a lot of fun to do with other people. Obviously, yeah, there's a lot of meat on the bone there. It's not like there's some forgettable rom com or not that I'm like anti rom com, but yeah, I felt like this had a lot of depth and great food for thought.
And
Yeah.
and I'll specify 4.5 out of 5, not 10.
Right, yeah. 4.5 out of 5. That's more like I don't know, Blue Beetle or something.
Yeah, anyway, we're gonna talk about The Holdovers, directed by Alexander Payne, and starring Paul Giamatti, and it's about it's focused on this like school. Is it like a boarding school?
Yeah.
Right. And Paul Giamatti's his teacher. He's kind of a hard ass, and he stays over break with some kids. He stays over holiday break, Christmas break, with some kids in the school who are holdovers, basically, who don't have anywhere to go for the Christmas break, so they have to stay in school with him. And there's also this lunch lady there. And that's basically it. It's like a character-driven story about these people, locked in the school over Christmas break, and it's great. It's a great movie. It's very 70s. It has the 70s aesthetic with again, this movie shot on film too, the 35 millimeter film. I don't know if it's a different kind of film stock or something, because it looks like way more vintage looking, like old, like in that sense. And then also the sound too. Even the sound, it sounds like a 70s movie, like so something about like the audio, like the muffledness of it, kind of like that old. I don't know what creates that effect exactly. I don't know if it's like that printing the audio on the film stock made it sound that way, or I don't know exactly. But this is very like specific kind of sound design the movie has, and even like the opening credits and the use of music, and it really makes you feel like you're in that period of the
like
70s.
Harold and Maude, kind of like that era. Yeah,
Exactly.
like
Yeah,
a
The
Hal Ashby
Graduate,
movie.
even though that's like 60s, but
Yeah.
it's like something like that, right?
The soundtrack was amazing for this movie.
Yeah. And it fit the movie really well because not all of it's from the 70s, but it fits in with that period beautifully. Yeah, I love the soundtrack to the movie too, and yeah, basically, I love every aspect of the movie. I think that's part of why I think it's so amazing. Like the performances here, Paul Giamatti's great, Divine Joy Randolph is great. Who is like the younger actor there?
Dominic Sessa.
Okay. Yeah, I thought he was decent. It's his first acting role, I think, ever.
Straight
I
out of
wouldn't
high
be
school,
surprised.
I think so. Yeah,
So,
I think they picked
as
him
far
up
as
from
that,
one of the
yeah.
schools.
Mm-hmm. He's like a Lucas Hedges or someone like that.
He's like George Lucas.
George Lucas.
I was just joking because you said Lucas.
Lucas Hedges is like he's like a young actor, up and coming, and then he was in like Manchester by the Sea, and everyone like was like, oh wow, like look at this young actor, and that's kind of what like this reminds me of. I thought he was great. He could have at least gotten a nod or something from the Academy, but I guess it's
a crowded field.
I think he got a Critics' Choice, maybe.
Yeah, he got like Young Actor Award.
Yeah,
which is good.
I have a little
something.
Just for context, I was aware of the filming of this movie. It filmed about 2 years ago around here. I was in the Massachusetts area, and my friends from Boston Casting worked. I was not involved with it. It's better than the 2 movies I casted for, which my friend Gracie was on it. She gets credit at the end. It's funny, they misspelled my boss's name in the end credits, Angela Perry. They added 2 R's. She only has 1 R in her name.
That happens like all the time.
Yeah, Lisa Melissa. And my mom is an extra, and I don't think you can actually see her, but she's in the
Holdovers,
at Holdovers, yeah. And she's also going to be in Challengers, which you mentioned earlier, Sandy. And she was in like the ice skating scene, but I promise that's not why I'm like giving the movie a thumbs up. Because
no bias there.
Because I worked on.
You're involved in plenty of movies, Cam, that aren't that you don't like love like this. So
right, and
it was cool seeing like the locations like in Boston.
Right by Emerson. Yeah,
right by Emerson. Yeah, the little bookstore there that
the Brattle
someone
bookshop.
posted on Twitter like, "Oh my god, I want to go here." I'm like, "Yep, I walked by there every day, every day at Emerson."
I went to college in New Hampshire at Dartmouth, and I just love the New Hampshire, like the New England feel of the movie. It just felt very England.
Yeah, it's very.
It definitely does.
Yeah. It captured that vibe really well.
I was just gonna say the scene where they're at the movies. That's actually the interior is the Somerville Theater where I've been many times. I saw like Jimmy Neutron there.
Yeah, I saw 2001 there.
Right, yeah, they have. It's been there a long time. They have the old projectors. The exterior they show it in Boston. They make it look like that's like where they are, but that's not like a building you can actually like go inside of anymore. It's like the Orpheum.
Yeah,
It's just thought it's funny. It's funny. When not every. Sorry, like when you notice things like that. Obviously, you wouldn't know that about every movie, but like you can kind of like when you're familiar with the locations, you can kind of connect the dots.
Right, the Somerville Theater. They use the lobby, right?
The lobby, I think
the
cinema, yeah.
Yeah, they use both, but yeah, I recognize the lobby because like the cinema's like it looks like.
Saw Cats there. I think that's the most recent thing I've seen there.
Oh Jesus!
Holdovers is better. I don't know if Sandy, did you see Cats? That one's pretty bad. Scary.
Yeah, you shouldn't. I think it's coming to Netflix soon.
Yeah, director's cut, the butthole cut.
I think
the butthole cut. I had a good experience seeing this. Sandy and I, we went to the Roxy Hotel. They were showing it on 35 millimeter.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that was sick. That made it even more vintage than it already was, seeing it that way. And it has like the classic film projector. Like there's 2 and they switch over, right? So when the reel ends, they stop one and they turn on the other projector, and like you see like the dot on the screen.
Like Fight Club.
I haven't. It's been so long.
Yeah, I was like, what's that? And then he was like,
and Sandy's never seen a movie like that.
So, but yeah, for me, it's been so long. And it used to be every movie was like that.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
Uh-huh. Like, I remember seeing Madagascar 2 or something, and then the film burned out. Or no, it's like a Madagascar short before the movie. Was there like a DreamWorks movie with a... we're getting sidetracked, but...
I think there might... Didn't like that...
The Christmas short? Like,
yeah,
didn't that
there's like
also,
a Christmas Madagascar short, and
Yeah.
during the short, before the film burned out, like in the theater when I was like a kid. But it was before another movie. It wasn't Madagascar. But it must have been a DreamWorks movie.
Yeah,
it's just like, you know, like when it's scary. You're like, what the fuck? The sound goes like, but that used to be every movie, and now you know everything's digital. But it was so cool seeing a movie
occasionally. Yeah, I mean, even like with digital, there's sometimes problem. Like when I saw Beale Street, I remember the projector like got stopped briefly. Yeah. It's not these errors also occur. Yeah, recently too.
Yeah. What else about the Holdovers? There's some really. It's very funny. There's some really funny lines in it. It feels almost like improvisational, just by nature. Like, you know, it's about these characters, and it's very like free flowing. Doesn't really have like a rigid plot per se, but it's actually like, you know, it's scripted. Like they follow the script rigidly. Like you can read the script and every joke is there. It's the setup and payoff. Like, you know, it's really good at like making everything feel natural, which is why it's so funny. And yeah, you like love these characters ultimately. I think that's what makes you really gravitate like toward. I mean, it's just you gravitate toward these characters, I think, is what I'm trying to say. Like you just really like them. Paul Giamatti's character, I love. Like he's just like this freak. Like he has all these health issues.
Yeah, misfit kind of. Yeah.
He like sweats. He smells because he sweats.
Lazy eye. Or, you know,
yeah,
like,
he's a lazy eye.
Yeah.
I know he's an alcoholic too.
He's an alcoholic. Sweaty palms. Like when people shake his hand, they're like, "Oh my god!" You're like,
yeah, no fashion sense. Yeah.
No, yeah, he's dressed. He's hideous. He's an asshole. Like, you know.
Yeah.
Like at the end, moments, like he's a. I think at heart he's a good guy, but he's a jerk as far as when he's a teacher.
Yeah, he's very
like,
gruff.
Yeah, he's just like, I'm gonna fail all of you. You're all idiots.
I was saying that also. I feel like his behavior is also like those kids are just so spoiled, and it like was like fed up with that kind of like behavior from all these kids who feel like they can say or do whatever they want. And I love how this movie like checks them a little bit. Like even when one of the kids like says that Mary's just a cook, and Paul's like don't speak to her like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. He is a good guy. Yeah, but he could be you know, strict.
Yeah.
With the students, making them like work out 6 o'clock in the morning or whatever, like on Christmas. You know, saying like kind of mean things to them.
You know, initially in the, I assume a lot of people have seen the movie. You know, there are more kids left over, but then like most of them get to go on a skiing trip. But the one kid, Angus, that he doesn't have permission, so he's stuck with the teacher, Paul. I think is the character also named Paul. I think, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Mary the cook. Yeah, they're all kind of like Mary lost her son, and Paul is kind of like a recluse. Yeah, it's cool how they all find companionship. And it's also like a new kind of Christmas class. I feel like this could kind of join the ranks. Sure. Yeah, it's got a bit more energy to it than your average Hallmark Christmas. better lighting.
In contrast to like Past Lives or like every other movie, I feel where the focus is more like romantic love. This is really about like just like familial, like having like this fun, like having your family around, having people like share Christmas with.
Like, those bonds you share over Christmas.
Yeah, it's a very warm movie, and the focus is more like friendship and family, and like just like being connected with other people during the holiday season, which can be very lonely for a lot of people.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of lonely people go to the movies. like because they don't have anything. A lot of people go to the movies on Christmas because they don't have anything better to do. Like
It's like,
if they don't have
well,
like a
that is
family,
true.
you know?
Like
Yeah.
Patton Oswalt, the comedian, he told this funny joke. Like one year, like with his brother on Christmas Eve, and they saw Jerry Maguire, and like there were other people like alone in the theater, and like at the end, like after one of his lines, Patton's brother's like "fuck you," it's like it's like making everybody upset. But yeah, it's good to find. And also funny too, because this is Alexander Payne. It was made, other great movies like Election and Sideways. I don't know if you guys have seen those, but those are like,
I got my Criterion's coming with Blu-rays.
yeah, I think Election's Criterion, and
Yeah, Election is. Anyway.
those are also very funny, but they're a bit more like acidic. The characters are pretty like horrible to each other. And this is like a little more like touchy feely, but in a good way though, because I think the connections feel genuine, and like they are definitely like flawed people, but you can understand like their good side. It's like nice as the audience appreciates like the good sides of the Paul character, just as in tandem with the Angus character.
Like Giamatti's character does make like this sacrifice almost, where he gets fired by the his former student, who's now is he the dean of the school or whatever?
I think so, principal.
He's some principal. And he tells him, "You are and always have been penis cancer in
human form." And he walks out.
Yeah, very funny.
And he steals his liquor, and he drives away, and that's the end of the movie. But like I thought it was a good like resolution to his character, because I feel like the character's ultimate like fatal flaw, more so than him being ugly and smelly and and fat and whatever is just being kind of stuck in his situation and not like moving forward with his life at all. He's just kind of been a teacher in the same place forever, and he hasn't really gone past that. And the end of the movie is him saying, fuck it, whatever's next is, that's my life from now on, and I'm leaving this life behind. And it's like it's like a perfect ending for him. I thought it's a perfect ending for that character. It's a bittersweet ending, because he doesn't deserve to totally go off the hook, but at the same time, it's bittersweet. It's something that is very satisfying conclusion to his character, I thought. And I loved how the movie wrapped up, and it also gives Angus, right, that's the kid's name, right? It gives him a future. He's, like, okay, kid, you're the future now. You taking my place in the school, because he does have a lot of potential. He can really succeed there, and he doesn't want Angus, go off to some military school. He wants to have a life there, so he gives himself up for it, and it's a great, at the end of the day, he sacrifices himself for his students, and his, for this student in particular, and it's great. It's a great, I love that you see like him in the beginning being a grouchy teacher too. Like there's plenty of that. It's like the first 15 minutes, like every segment of the movie, it just gives you like what you want to see.
Yeah, I think it's definitely like a crowd pleaser in a good way, and it's cool. Like, I've been fan of Giamatti since I was little. Like Big Fat Liar. That's what I knew him from. Yeah, it's cool. Like see actors like him, like Brendan Fraser, like America Ferrera, like Ferrera, like actors like I've been familiar with for a long time. Like getting recognition. Like I know like I know they didn't like just pop out of nowhere. Like they've been doing good work for a long time. That's always cool to see. Or Cillian Murphy too. Yeah.
Yeah, we got the trailer for this before Oppenheimer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then my friend's like, who's the fat guy? Fat old guy. I'm like, Paul Giamatti? Like, what?
Yeah, he's been in tons of movies.
Yeah, the guy from Liar Liar or whatever, or Big Fat Liar. I'm like, oh, Paul Giamatti, you mean? I'm like, he's not that old.
Guy from Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you made a good point about the ending. It's like Paul Giamatti's character, his main flaw was like being stuck, while Angus' main flaw was just always moving around and not having a stable development.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end, he gets to stay, but Paul has to go. And like, it's the perfect resolution for both. Like, it's what they need, even though it's not what they may want.
Exactly.
And I'm excited for Divine Joy Randolph to get her Oscar for Best
Yeah, she might win. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure she will.
Maybe
Yeah.
maybe Giamatti for best actor.
I think he could get it.
Against Killian, maybe, yeah.
It was weird. Alexander Payne didn't get a nom.
For directing.
Yeah.
I guess
That's very
yeah.
odd.
I don't. Sorry.
Picture 5 best directors, so someone has to get cut out, I guess.
Yeah, they could have thrown him in there.
I mean, the nom. Well, like over who?
Well, I mean, let me look at the nominees. Is
mean,
Bradley Cooper nominated?
No,
for-
no. Yeah, if
Okay.
he got nominated, yeah, that would. But no, it's. I think it's like it's Scorsese, Nolan. Who else? Justin
Yeah.
Triet for Anatomy of a
Four
Fall.
things, right? Four
Yeah,
things, right?
Yorgos Lanthimos and
Yeah.
is that all of them? Who's the other one? No, I think
Zone of Interest.
yeah, Jonathan Glazer. Yeah, I mean that's a pretty. Those are all pretty good movies too. Yeah, I get like with 5. It's hard to fit everything in 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Greg Gerwig wasn't, or Celine Song wasn't nominated either. But yeah,
Yeah. Right. But yeah, it's just weird because I thought it was a well-directed movie, but yeah, you're right. Doesn't
Very
fit
well
in.
Maybe they'll win best screenplay, best original.
maybe.
Yeah, I think it has a shot at that. Best soundtrack. No, I don't think it's that. It's not that kind of soundtrack.
It's such a good soundtrack though, but
yeah.
it had no score though, so I don't think it had like original score.
Did it?
Not much anyway.
Yeah.
It might have had a little bit. It doesn't really stick out to me though. There's a lot of just like using like diegetic
Badfinger,
music. Them in like locations where you hear music on the radio, like the bowling alley and stuff like that.
I think they filmed that in it might be that place in Roxbury. I have to double check. I'm not positive, but yeah, it's like a really old bowling alley. Yeah.
That was a funny scene too. He just goes on this long tangent, and the guys just look at him like.
Well, like that one guy's dressed as Santa, so he's like he has some elaborate explanation of the origin of the costume, and like they couldn't give 2 shits.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny when he goes to the liquor store there. And he tells like the whole story, and then the guy at the cash register's like, "Go get him, killer." Or here you go, killer.
Yeah, it's funny because you don't really notice the guy in there until like he says.
No, they
his
don't even
line.
cut. You don't see him at all. But he's obviously there. Like he's like the cashier. It's just funny how they like reveal him in that moment. It's very funny.
Did Payne also make The Descendants? Is he the one?
Yes. I've never seen that, but yeah, that's Alexander.
Yeah.
He also did like About Schmidt, a lot of big movies. I haven't seen them. I'd like to see more of them.
Nebraska. He did Nebraska.
Yeah, I never saw
He did
Nebraska.
that movie. It wasn't very good. Downsizing with.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. With Matt Damon.
But yeah, Descendants is good. Nebraska's great.
Yeah, I think. I never saw Downsizing. Yeah, I think that was considered like a dud from him. Well, it happened. Not everybody bats 1,000, but yeah, this is definitely a good one.
Mm-hmm.
I need to watch Sideways though. I've heard good things.
Yeah, it's very funny. Yeah,
I'm gonna watch Election as soon as I get that Blu-ray. Yeah.
Those are great movies too. Yeah,
and I want to see Sideways.
They're very well written too. Yeah, they have like funny like turns. Series of events. Yeah, not always like what you'd expect.
I'd give this one Holdovers a 9 out of 10. I just thought it was just very funny, and I love the homage to the 70s, and I love stuff like that, like The Graduate, and this is right up that alley for me. It's a perfect homage to those kinds of films, and I love the characters, and it's great.
Good stuff.
I'll give this a 10 out of 10, a 5-star, and I think it's gonna be one of my top 4 Letterboxd movies.
That's right. I forgot to mention you have a Letterboxd. We should have mentioned that at the beginning.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I should have mentioned that at the beginning because I was like, oh.
Put it in the description below. Have like a little arrow.
Yeah, I'll include it. Yeah, so cool. And so Cam, what would you if you had to give it a rating?
Yeah, I'll also go with a 9. Yeah, it's another one of my favorites of the year. Yeah, definitely like Past Lives, definitely one I'll return to again multiple times.
Definitely next Christmas we'll revisit this one.
I helped cast for a different Christmas movie. We could cover that. Spirited.
Spirited. Yeah.
Yeah,
we
it's
could.
okay. Holdovers is better, but yeah, Spirited's not bad.
Yeah, sure. We can cover Spirited.
Yeah, like it's right. Like, but they say like you're not supposed to like review your like movies you worked on. It's like conflict of interest.
Yeah, but that one's so old. Does it even matter? Like
So old. It only came out like a year ago.
But is it gonna like affect the financial?
No.
Obviously not.
It's not that. It's more like just kind of you might have inherent bias or something because like you have like I don't know like a positive attachment to working on it or something.
Maybe.
I guess it's a podcast. We could do what we want, I suppose.
Yeah, and it just depends on like what you're doing, what role you serve. Like I get if you're like the lead actor in it, then maybe you're a little biased, right?
Ralph's favorite Boston casting project is Free Guy.
Yeah, Free Guy.
R.I.P.D.
or yeah, that's got to be the worst thing they've.
They've done quite a few. I think Holdovers, Knives Out, and Sound of Metal. I think those are the best ones they've worked. There are probably some other good ones, but yeah, those in particular I think are great.
So here's a question from Green Hood 300.
Green, any relation to Little Red Riding Hood?
Little Red Riding Hood, what's that movie with Amanda Seyfried?
Is it little? Is it just Red Riding Hood? Is that what it's called?
I think it's just Red Riding Hood. Yeah.
It's
like a 1 star.
Is it like a horror movie? It doesn't sound that exciting.
It's like Twilight.
Because it's also that's the next episode. Yeah.
Is it yeah, I guess it is. You guys, you have a big one. There's a big one coming.
Right. Those are also 9s and 10s out of 10 movies.
Yeah. So anyway, here's a question from Green Hood 300.
Just a quick before you do you think Bella and Edward? Do you think they had Inyon?
I don't know what that means.
Inyon for vampires?
What? So what they had a past life together? Like what do you
maybe?
What do you mean?
It's another romance. Maybe that ties in. We'll see.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead. Sorry, Green Hood. Yeah,
Hey, we got a question from Green Hood 300.
Getting a lot of shout outs.
Yeah, this guy's got a lot of shit. He got 3 shout outs. What's your favorite animated shows you're watching right now?
Like currently or just in general?
You could say in general, but I think he meant like specifically like, are you watching anything right now? If you're not watching any animated shows right at this moment, you can talk about what you've seen recently. Yeah, I was gonna say Scott Pilgrim. I've started watching that, and I really like it. I think it's a lot of fun. I mean, it is like an Inyon story. It's like, what if like something else happened in the story, and it kind of like branches off. Like, so it's like the original Scott Pilgrim story, but it kind of branches off and goes a new direction. But it's good. It's like, it's a good show. I like that everyone came back, and it's funny. There's some funny stuff in it for sure. There's some funny lines. I really enjoyed the Scott Pilgrim show, and yeah. Aside from that, I'm trying to think of some other like animated. I don't watch a lot of animated shows really.
I mean, newer stuff. Obviously, like my favorite show is The Simpsons. I think it's one of. I don't know. Sandy, have you seen much Simpsons?
Oh, yeah, I have.
Oh, all right. You guys have watched it together, right?
No, but like growing up, every night I would like watch an episode.
Yeah. I used to watch Simpsons all the time.
Yeah,
I used to have like the DVD box sets of like the seasons. I'd watch them in the car.
Yeah.
We had a DVD player in the car.
No, I have like an encyclopedic knowledge. It kind of like freaks people out sometimes. Yeah, how well I know.
Oh, he does. It's crazy. He can like he quote lines, and he knows like. He's like, oh yeah, that's the episode of the season 11, episode 13, when Mr. Burns. Yeah.
I like when Mr. Burns, he's like filling out a medical form, like and he's like, the question's like cause of parent's death. He wrote, got in my way.
I guess the most recent one I've watched is Central Park on Apple TV.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's like a musical, and then Leslie Odom Jr. he voices the dad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's pretty good. It's
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah, I'll have to check that one. Obviously, some of my other favorites, like all time, like are like SpongeBob and South Park. Yeah, some great, Futurama and like King of the Hill. Yeah, like those are all great shows.
Oh, how about Velma?
Velma looks pretty bad.
Oh, and Hey Arnold, I love that.
Oh yeah, Hey Arnold.
Yeah, you like Hey Arnold?
Yeah, football. Yeah, one year my cousin and his friend, they were Hey Arnold and Gerald for Halloween. I thought that was really funny.
That's funny. Yeah.
I've been meaning to watch Invincible. I heard that's good.
Yeah, that's a popular one. Yeah, I still
Yeah.
haven't seen it.
That and The Boys. I gotta check those out. But
There's
yeah,
also like a
I'll
boys
get on it.
spin-off. My friends at work, like Gen V.
I
Yeah,
heard
it's-
that wasn't very good.
No. Yeah, it's just funny. Like it's become like a big franchise now.
Yeah, yeah. Right.
I'm
J.K.
yeah.
Simmons is in Invincible.
Right. There's no fucking Mars bar down there.
There's no Mars bar down there, mini-me or whatever. Okay. So that was our question. And yeah, I think we're all set for today. Thank you so much for joining us, Sandy.
It was a
Thanks,
pleasure.
Sandy.
We love having you, and please join us again one day.
Sure.
It went great.
Yeah, I bet even in our past lives we were great YouTube podcast people.
One day we'll be sitting in a bar, the three of us, and there will be some
I-
couple.
I was
looking at
thinking
us.
that. Yeah.
I wonder what they are.
What's their story? Who's the
Maybe they're just work friends.
Who's the guy third wheeling? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe that happened at the concert we all attended.
Yeah, I could see that.
And then Sandy looks at the camera. It's like the same kind of shot.
Yeah.
Can recreate it.
Just like-
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Our next Halloween costume.
Yeah. It's like a deep cut. Yeah, it's funny because it's not like they have like the most distinctive. It's like, what's your costume? Like, oh,
Yeah.
past lives. Like,
Everything.
that would be so great.
Only
Yeah, like
movie
I'm
people.
Arthur from past lives.
Only
Yeah.
movie people would get it. It's very.
Yeah, not to say they're like bad characters, but yeah, it's just like
No,
it's
it's just-
kind of nondescript. Yeah.
Yeah, like even the bear, like he has the tattoos.
Right,
You can put on
yeah.
the apron. Like they're
Yeah.
just like, like I would basically. This is how Arthur dresses. It's basically like it's basically Arthur now.
And he plays video games. That's it.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember that about the movie. I thought his video game playing was unrealistic.
I mentioned that
yeah.
to Sandra.
The way he was like playing the game, just it didn't seem like he was playing a real video.
You should be
game.
like, oh.
Yeah, like when I play video games, I'm like,
maybe it was a more like low key game.
It's just like
maybe it was like
Yeah.
a simulator game or like a building, like Sim City, something like that.
Yeah, it's fun. It's kind of like the thing too. Like people say, like you can tell like a non-smoker and like the way they hold like cigarettes. Yeah, like certain things.
It's like that.
Yeah.
It's exactly like that. Right. As someone who's played video games, I could tell like he doesn't.
That's why you're gonna lower your rating now.
Yeah,
it's a 7 out of 10.
It's 4 out of 10. Fuck this movie.
Okay.
Yeah, let's wrap up. Okay, bye everybody.
Bye.